Because see, the government knows, Democrats know, the more they give you, the more they can control you. Democrats know, the more they can give you, the more they can control you. And they manipulate black people all the time with this outrage footage and all this racial lip service. Thank you so much for liking and your comments and subscribing to the channel. Please share this with your friends. Smash that like button. Smash the subscription bell. Share this with everybody you know. We're trying to make sure people understand that they're not victims, that they are empowered for greatness, and all this stuff that's out here that's telling them otherwise is false and will not benefit them in the end. So please, I appreciate that. Share that. Reparations. That has been something that has been stirring in the political realm and in the black political class for a long time. Reparations for all of the mistreatment, all the ills, all the wrongs that were perpetrated against the black community, against the slaves and descendants of slaves, all the wrongs that have been perpetrated, that have been promulgated across the community throughout the decades, throughout the centuries. Reparations. There's been a cry for reparations. We want reparations. Even President Obama talks about how reparations are justified.
Former President Obama said earlier this week that the case for reparations for Black Americans is, quote, justified. The former president said in an episode of he and Bruce Springsteen's new podcast that launched on Spotify earlier this week, quote, "So if you ask me theoretically, are reparations justified? The answer is yes. There's not much question that the wealth of this country, the power of this country, was built in significant part, not exclusively, maybe not even the majority of it, but a large portion of it was built on the backs of slaves." He said, quote, "What I saw during my presidency was the politics of white resistance and resentment, the talk of welfare queens, the talk of the undeserving poor, and the backlash against affirmative action."
And so you've had all kind of Democratic lawmakers give lip service to reparations, give lip service to even the study of reparations or the forming of a committee for reparations.
He's supported a study of reparations, which I believe is what's being discussed, and studying the continuing impacts of slavery, which is being discussed in this hearing on HR 40, I believe it is. And he continues to demonstrate his commitment to take comprehensive action to address the systemic racism that persists today. Obviously, that is having that study is a part of that, but he has signed an executive order on his first day, which would begin to deliver on his commitment to having an across government approach to addressing racial inequality and making sure equity is a part of his entire policy agenda. But he certainly would support a study of reparations. We understands that we don't need a study to take action right now.
But the funny thing about it is, after all of the talk, after all the things that they say they're going to do, all the promises that have been made to the black community, Joe Biden made a lengthy list of promises to the black community. He talked about reparations. He talked about making changes in the black community to provide more opportunity. He talked about all these things. And when he first came into office, one of the first things he did was sign executive orders to show that he was really gonna fulfill the promises that he had made to black people. But 9-10 months into his term, into his administration, has there been any substantial movement made on those promises? Especially when it comes to reparation. I mean, back in March, one of his senior advisors mentioned that they could make efforts on their own in terms of fighting against reparation. see Representative Cedric Richmond, one of Joe Biden's top advisors, mentioned that they don't have to wait upon Congress to do something. They could do it themselves. And they probably could. But why not use Congress to do it? Because they don't want to do anything for the black community. They are like I mentioned before, the Democrats treat the black community like that friend that you have that you can always call on when you need something. You know they will not leave you because they know deep down in their hearts, they think black people have nowhere to go. And they will always receive your vote. So they can give you lip service. They can promise you things. They can say, I'm going to take you fishing this weekend, son. The weekend comes and the son never sees the father. They make broken promises like that over and over and over again. They treat you like you're worthless, like your vote is the only thing they care about. They are using black people just for your vote. I hate to break it to you. They are using us, black people that vote for the Democrats, and we vote for Democratic candidates 90% of the time. They're using black people just like people use other people. They're using black people as like a rug, a stepping rug. Like they're useful, but they're not essential to what the plan is. They're not essential to the house. You want to know why? Because the plan is to replace black people with Hispanics. Why else do you think they're actually providing reparations to illegal immigrants? Think about that. All the uproar that has been made, all the lip service that has been spoken in terms of providing reparations to African Americans, to black people, it's actually being done. It's in this Build Back Better bill that was passed. $1.5 billion are going to illegal immigrants. Almost $500,000 to each family that was quote unquote separated during President Trump's zero tolerance policy. Will you look at that? If they really wanted to provide reparations or some kind of reparations, they could. It's not that hard, but they don't want to. They desire to provide reparations more to people that have come into this country illegally than they do to provide to quote unquote their base. Because you have to understand, these Democrats know they don't have to do anything that they promised black people during the campaigns. They can make these empty promises because they will still get the black vote. So they don't have to work for it. There's no effort. It's like that woman who wants that man to chase her, but she keeps providing things for that man. So therefore he does not have to chase her because he knows he doesn't have to work for it. He doesn't have to earn it. When will black people make Democrats earn their vote? And you wonder why a lot of black men in particular are walking away from the Democratic Party. Number one, because the Democratic Party teaches black men that you are no longer worth anything, that you can leave the house because we'll take care of it for you. So you're making black men feel like they're worthless, that they're not valuable, number one. And number two, you're making black men feel emasculated with all these policies you're pushing geared towards feminist agenda and feminist ideas. And so therefore black men are like, hold up, I'm tired of this. I can stand up and protect my family. I can speak out and make sure that I have agency enough to make sure my family can be taken care of. I want to be the one to provide the necessary provisions for my family. I don't need the government doing that. I want to be the one to lead my family. I want to be the one to set the vision for my family. I want to be the one to be the gatekeeper for my household. But they don't want that. Because see, the government knows, Democrats know, the more they give you, the more they can control you. Democrats know, the more they can give you, the more they can control you. And they manipulate black people all the time with this outrage footage and all this racial lip service. But behind the scenes, they are giving money to illegal immigrants. What does that tell you? That's like that father who promised you a nice present on Christmas, and you end up with coals in your stockings. What are you going to do about it? What are we going to do about it? We are not victims. We are empowered for greatness. But if you continue to allow the Democratic Party and the black elites to treat you as trash, you'll get trash. You have to stop letting them treat you like trash, treat us like trash, and you'll get trash. And that is what is happening. They continue to give you trash and tell you that it tastes good. They continue to give you trash and tell you that it tastes good. That has to stop. The fact that they're giving these illegal immigrants this money when they claim to be for reparations, when they know deep down inside they don't have to do anything because the black people still vote for them, that is a shame. That is a shame. But yet it's comical because all these things that they promise, all these things, it's a recurring cycle. It's the same old thing. Same old thing. You promise reparations to black people, but you're actually giving it to illegal immigrants. You promise reparations to black people, but yet you're giving them to illegal immigrants. How does that look? That's like you having a wife. I'm giving you a lot of analogies. Like you have your wife and you promise her a nice car, but instead you give her a broke down hoopty, but you give your mistress on the side, the Hispanics, the illegal immigrants, a brand new Benz. How does that sound? But yet, you know what? That wife will still go home with her husband because he thinks she has nowhere else to go. That she is totally dependent upon him for everything. And see, that's how the Democratic Party sees the black community. They are so ingrained with these social policies, they believe that they have infiltrated the minds of black people so deep that they cannot leave them. It's like the Stockholm Syndrome, that black people are so dependent upon Democrats that they will never leave them because it is in their psyche. It is so ingrained in their souls to vote Democrat that they cannot see themselves any other way. They cannot see themselves voting any other way. They cannot see themselves not dependent upon the government. We are not victims though. We are empowered for greatness. We are changing that narrative one voice at a time. We are using biblical values, using the word of God to shine light in the darkness, to remove that spirit of deception and have people's eyes be open to the truth that God is our source, not the Democratic Party. They're not our God, even though they try to be and they want to be. They're not our God. But yet, I just want to point this out. All this lip service that politicians, in particular on the left, have made in terms of providing reparations to black people. Yet they are providing reparations to illegal immigrants. People that have come into this country illegally. They're paying them, but they're not going to pay black people. That's the case. It's being exposed. It's right there in our faces. What are we going to do about it? Will there be change? Will we change our thought process? Or will we continue to be the same old dependent community that they know they can rely upon when they need them? Will they continue to be permitted to treat the community as trash? Will they? The choice is up to us. We are not victims. We are empowered for greatness. And we have to stand up and hold people accountable to whatever promises they made. If they don't uphold those promises, if they don't uphold what they say they will do, vote them out. Whoever they are. We are not victims. Black people are not a monolith. And we have to stop thinking like that. Because as long as you continue to think of yourself as a monolith, continue to vote as a monolith, they'll treat you as a monolith. They'll treat you. They have certain people that put in front of you to keep you in line, to keep you thinking that party line. Because they need you to think that party line, because any other thought, if anyone breaks the camp, it destroys the whole narrative. It's like a house of cards. It would all collapse. It's like a house of cards. It will all collapse. So they have to continue to push this narrative continuously. That's why they're pushing critical race theory. That's why they're pushing intersectionality. That's why you see outrage footage leaking all the time. They have to keep black people's mind manipulated in order to stay in their place. But we are not victims. We are empowered for greatness.